or is everybody that didn't ask for help ready to make those payments? So I think over the next few days, we're going to know, and I would be happy to do an update in a couple of weeks if you'd be open to that, John.
Oh yeah, that would be really
good. Because we'll definitely have a lot more data to go by, say 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Now, on the lending side, what I'm seeing is a huge move towards rental right now. I'm seeing a drop off in the fix and flip, which certainly makes sense in this environment. And I'm also seeing, and this surprised me, and it shouldn't have, but it did, we're seeing a large inflow of new money into our private equity funds because people are pulling it out of the stock market and they need a place to go. So they're looking at us as a safe haven for that money so that they're not going to continue that roller coaster ride with the market, which I think is a very good move. But it shocked me, the numbers, the volume of money that has come into our funds over the past 2 weeks.
Well, that's very good. I'm experiencing kind of the same thing, that I sent out a letter before letting everybody know, hey, we're in bad times. So just if there's issues, let me know. You know what? The weirdest thing happened actually is that so many of them are actually texting me saying, hey, John, thank you for that nice letter. We understand. And don't worry, we got you covered. They're telling me this.
Right. Right.
So it's really good. Only one actually called me up and said, John, I got fired because this person's in the food industry. So I'm working with that person right now.
Right.
So that's the thing. Okay, so talk a little bit about 2008 when all this was happening like really crazy. So what are the things that happened to you, and then how did you, the steps that you did to prosper in 2008?
Well, there are some correlations to now and 2008, but I don't think there are many yet.
Yes.
I was just reading an art, and right now I think, you wanted tips. The best tip I can give you is read everything that you can read. And I'm not talking about the normal news. I'm talking about articles written by experts in their field. I was reading something written by the St. Louis Fed this morning, and they were predicting that if this, I call it a lockdown, basically limited travel and social distancing and so forth, continues into May, that the U.S. unemployment rate could hit 30%.
Wow.
That's unprecedented. And that would dwarf anything we saw in 2008. In 2008 and 9, in that time period, the worst unemployment rate nationally was somewhere in the 9% range, 9.4, somewhere in there. So we don't know yet is the real answer. We don't really know how bad this is going to affect the economy. And obviously, it all depends on how quickly we can get Americans back to work again. So it's going to be interesting to watch that play out. And like I said, I think in a couple of weeks, we're going to have much more information to be able to discern that. Now, to go back to your real question, what happened in 2008 and how were we able to take advantage of that? When there is a market interruption, there are always going to be people who get themselves in a jam. And most generally, the jam is caused by lack of capitalization. I mean, let's just face it, that is why most businesses fail, even in a good economy, right? There's lack of capitalization. They don't have the capital to take them through the bad times, to get through that and to the good times. So the longer this stretches out, the more you're going to see that in households as well as businesses. As it happens in businesses, then that's going to have a multiplier effect, and it's going to affect even more households. So in 2008, what we saw was a flight from home ownership to rentership. And my wife and I saw that playing out very early on. And I said, look, because we were a flipping company. We started out in late 2007 as a flipping company. By early 2008, we were watching, the numbers do a nosedive. And I said, we can't be a flipping company anymore. This is not the environment to flip houses. And she's like, well, what are we going to do? I said, well, people still have to have some place to live. If they're losing their homes, and, Harris County, Texas, where Houston is, we were doing 2,500 to 3,200 foreclosures a month.
Oh, wow.
During that time frame. That was a normal month, was anywhere from 2,200 to 3,200 foreclosures. Those people, those families have to go somewhere. They have to live somewhere, and they're not going to buy anything anytime soon. So, I mean, it was just, to me, it was common sense. Okay, we need to get into rentals. And that's when we started accumulating rentals. And over the next, I don't know, about 4 years, we accumulated about 425 units. It wasn't anything we did. It wasn't that we were brilliant. We just looked at what's going on in the market and tried to get ahead of it. And I think that's the opportunity that will present itself. Now, how will that play out, and what will that opportunity to be? I don't think we are far enough along in this crisis to be able to identify it yet, John. Yeah. But I guarantee there will be one. Okay, there will be a.
Let me pause you there 1 second. So how about you said that, during that time, that's when you started buying. Okay, look, I lost your video, brother. Oh, you're there? Okay.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, so let's go deep a little bit on that. You said 2008, you guys you started buying a whole bunch of properties. Now, why don't you tell the people that how were you able to do that? What kind of mechanism did you use? Did you use institutional banks or private lenders or what?
Great question. No, we have never used banks ever in our real estate or lending careers. We don't use banks. And right now we're living through why. If we had tied ourselves to banks, first of all, we'd have never got started in 2008 and 9 because banks had dried up. They weren't lending. Okay. But even as asset-based lenders through Investor Loan Source, our lending company, if we were tied to banks, we'd be paused right now. All of my national competitors are on pause right now. Yeah. Literally in 3 days, most of my national competitors dried up in 3 days.
Wow.
A couple of weeks ago. The only guys that are still out here lending are the guys that are not tied to banks like us. We operate on 100% private capital. When we were buying real estate, I think it was over a 7-year period, Melissa and I spent $17 million on real estate. All of it was private money, not a penny of bank money. And now we lend over $80 million a year. All private money, no bank money.
Wow, that's amazing. So, because we do have a lot of friends out there that they have all this money stocked away, either in some kind of 401k or in a self-directed account and everything. So, yep. What kind of warm, fuzzy feeling would you give these people? Let's say what to do with that money, because if it's sitting there, it's doing nothing. It's not making anything whatsoever. So, right. What are maybe the things that they need to look at if they want to make money?
So let's look at this from two angles. I want to look at it from our standpoint, you and I, the investor, and let's look at it from their standpoint, because those two may be competing ideas, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, from their standpoint, and we have to always start there, I think right now, every household should be stockpiling 3 to 6 months in cash. That means if they didn't have a penny coming into their home, I would feel comfortable if you had closer to 6 than 3, but somewhere over 3 months of cash. Over and above that, whatever you have, yes, I think it should be in investments. Absolutely. No reason to stockpile more than that in cash. And real estate is still one of the best investments out there. One of the things that I look at when I dig deeper into this, what our U.S. government is doing right now, and what is that going to cause? Now, right now, there was a big stimulus package that just got signed into law a couple of days ago, over $2 trillion. That was on top of the first couple of packages, emergency packages. You understand that the U.S. government doesn't have $2 trillion, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't have $2 trillion. So what they're doing is printing that money just out of worthless pieces of paper. They're printing money, $2 trillion to inject into the U.S. economy. What do you think that's going to do to the economy over time?
Yeah.
I think that's going to cause inflation.
Yeah.
And if you have an inflationary period, the one thing that you don't want is cash. You do not want cash because cash is worth less every day in an inflationary period. It hasn't been that big of an issue, a couple of percent over the last few years. But when we're injecting $2 trillion on top of the 22 or $3 trillion of debt we already have, I think inflation is a foregone conclusion. Now, the question is when. I don't know when. Nobody has a crystal ball. But real estate or investing in notes and hard assets in particular is definitely going to be necessary to stave off the diminishing return of cash.
Yeah, well, that's pretty good. So now, there's a lot of people out there that are scared. And you know that, right?
Well, of course.
Yeah, and that's to be expected because not everybody had the printing capability of the government that we just print money anytime we want to, right? Yeah,
and not everybody has 3 to 6 months income sitting aside either.
Yeah, so now for our audience right now, what may be simple tips, 2, 3, 4 that right now as an investor or even just a person that is not an investor yet, what are the things they need to be doing like right now? And then when they become an investor or if they are an investor, what kind of things they should get over, maybe like get over the fear?
Right. So the first thing is hoard cash. I'm going to go back to that time and time again. I think that's one of the keys to getting through any crisis period or market interruption or whatever you want to call it. So one of the things that you can do if you don't have a lot of cash is go find some. Right? Look at all of your assets. Look at the things you've got laying around. My wife and I were at our ranch. I want to make a couple of purchases because right now I'm spending most of my quarantine time at my ranch because I can, right?
Yeah.
So I spend a couple of days a week down here on the water, and then the rest of the week I'm at the ranch. So I've got a couple of pieces of equipment that I want to buy, but I'm hoarding cash. I don't want to spend my money on these pieces of equipment. So I looked around the ranch and I looked for things that I'm not using anymore. I threw them on Craigslist. I raised $12,000 in less than a week, just selling off crap that was laying around that I didn't need anymore.
Yeah.
And I took that and I went and bought one of the pieces of equipment that I was looking for. So I didn't use any of my own cash. I was just basically bartering, only without bartering. I was selling off the junk and buying something that I could use right now. If we look around our houses, everybody has some junk sitting around that they could liquidate and get some cash out of. And I would be doing that. On a larger scale, look at your portfolio. If there are assets in your portfolio, whether it's stock assets or bond assets or physical assets even, that are not performing and not bringing you the returns that they should be bringing you, now good time to try to dump some of those things and move that money into something that is higher returning or higher yielding. Or if you don't have cash laying in sufficient amounts, just sell off some of those non-performers and sock that cash away. That's the first thing that I would be doing. The second thing I'd be doing is looking for opportunities. And we're already doing that. We just, my partner and I went together and we just made our first private equity firm investment. We don't even run a private equity firm, but we did an investment in a deal. It was one of our lending clients brought us a deal that we just think it's a phenomenal opportunity. So we're not only lending on it, but we're also investing in it for a percentage of not only the real estate, but the business that will be in the real estate. That's an opportunity that would not have come to us without this environment because his normal line of funds had seized up and he had no other options. So he came to me and he's like, look, I know this is out of your wheelhouse, but if you invest in it, I'll do this, I'll give you this, I'll give you this. He made it such a sweet deal and there was so much meat on the bone, it didn't hurt him any either.
Oh, nice.
So boom, that's opportunity. And all of that came from this environment. If the coronavirus pandemic was not going on, we would not have had that opportunity. So even in bad times, look for opportunity. I'm going out and looking at a project Thursday. that would not have come to us otherwise. And this is a 14% yielding project, and we're going to put this in our long-term fund. So our private equity fund investors that are investing in that fund, their returns are going to go through the roof. Awesome. Because this opportunity came up and we were watching for it and looking for it, and we're going to take advantage of that. And that investment is going to go into our private equity fund for our investors.
Yeah, well, that's good. It looks like what your message is, why stop?
Don't stop. In fact, look for better deals. Look for better opportunities. The stuff that we were doing, those aren't even exciting me anymore. Now I'm looking for the juicier deals, the better deals, the sweeter deals, because now the environment is right for that.
Right. Yeah. You and I, we talk the same language, because I say the same things. I've been posting a lot on our private forums out there, that right now is the time to really open up the eyes more and look out there for those opportunities. So they're everywhere. I'm still wheeling and dealing, and you know that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm trying to encourage the people out there that have money in a self-directed IRA that is sitting there doing nothing. So hopefully they're watching this one and they'll understand the opportunities are going to be so much more than just a few months ago, because things are opening up. And so what would you tell those people that are just definitely scared, that they want to hoard the money? Let's say, for example, in some custodial, say Quest or somebody like that, the money just sitting there doing nothing. So what kind of encouragement would you like to tell these people that money's just sitting there?
Well, there's two things that we need to think about when you're talking about self-directed funds. First of all, those funds lose money every day they sit there uninvested. So if you want to continue to lose money, go ahead and do that. But I just don't think that's a sound business decision. Now, why do I say they're losing money? Well, because A, you don't make a return if it's sitting there uninvested. B, you're paying fees for it to be sitting there return free. And C, inflation is taking place, albeit at a couple of percent right now, but you are still losing buying power every day your money sits there uninvested. That is not a sound business decision. That is just not a sound investment decision at all. No decision is not a decision.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of people are paralyzed by fear. I get that. They don't want to make the wrong decision. But, I'm very good friends with Quincy and Nathan Long at Quest Trust. And I know the amount of uninvested money that sits there. And it is a staggering number.
Yeah, I believe it. So, Quincy's my friend too. You know that. So I do understand. Yeah. So how about this? Okay. Now, for the people out there that want to, say, work with you, okay, because you just have money that's ready to be deployed. So what should these people do so that they can do what they have to do with you?
Sure. So if you're looking for a loan, we do single family fix and flips. We do single family rentals. We do single family wrappables for owner finance guys. We also do commercial redevelopment bridge loans. That has actually become a large part of our business, and one of the most lucrative too. Just go to our website, www.ILS.CASH. That stands for Investor Loan Source. And go to our website, check it out. We have a live map of the United States on the front. If your state is green, that means we lend there. Click on that state and it'll pull up all the loan products that are available to you. If you're looking to invest money, you can shoot me a personal email. I'll give you my personal email address. It's tom@ILS.cash. And I'll be happy to, set up a telephone call with you, talk to you a little bit, let you ask any questions you want to ask. And then if you're interested in investing with us through our funds, we'd be happy to set you up with the PPMs and everything to make that happen.
Awesome. So as an investor, so they connect with you and everything. So what kind of minimum requirements that are you looking for? Is it going to be mostly the deal, or is it going to be the person, or is it a good combo of those things?
John, are you talking about borrowing money or lending money or investing money rather?
Yeah, well, let's just pretend they want to borrow money from you because they have a good deal. They have a good deal and they need
We don't have any minimums as far as deals go. What we do have is a minimum processing fee. So if you want to bring us a deal and there's enough meat on the bone and you just need 35 grand, we'll do that deal. Most other places around the country won't do that, but we will do that for you. So no minimums there. Minimum credit score outside of Texas is 600, so it's very doable for most people. We just make it very easy. We are real estate investors that lend. We are not lenders.
Yeah.
We are real estate investors that lend. And I think that mindset is different and unique in our industry.
Oh yeah. That's why, I love when you and I connected with our financial friends cruise, and we just kind of got to like, I don't know why you like me, but that's okay. I like that. It's okay. I'm hard to get along sometimes, and I know that, but that's okay. But you know what attracted me to you was this: you're so down to earth, and you're just going to tell it how it is. There's none of this guru stuff. There's none of this BS stuff. You just say either it's going to work or it's not going to work. I remember we sat down on our table and you said, John, this is not going to work. And I said, okay, explain. And you did. It was so simple because there's no fluff in it. And that's why, I wanted to talk to you about this here too, because I want investors out there to understand that there are people like you that are still investing in this downturn, because so many are really, really afraid about that.
Let me take that a step further, if I may.
Sure.
Don't say we are still investing in this downturn. Say we are now getting back to investing in this downturn.
Okay.
Because I'll be honest, as an investor, I've been on the sidelines for the last few years. I have felt for a long time that assets were overinflated in price.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I have felt that for a long time, and I'm never going to buy in an overinflated market. I'm just not going to pay too much. My wife and I did well enough in the last crisis. We don't ever have to do another deal as long as we live. Okay. We've been financially independent for 7 years. I don't have to do another deal. And we haven't. For the last few years, we've probably done maybe a deal a year, one a year.
Wow.
Where we were used to doing, 50 to 100 a year back in the day. So don't say that we're still investing. Say we're back to invest.
Okay, you're back.
Yes. Yes.
I love that. Well, there's a lot of us that are still investing. We're trying to get to where you are. So you know what? So I'm glad you're on here. So you're going to help us and guide us and encourage us, because right now we need a lot of encouragement. Would you agree?
Well, yes, I think fear is an immobilizer, right? Fear stops people in their tracks. Doesn't matter what we're doing. We could use a lot of analogies there, but you cannot be fearful. You have to be intelligent about what you're doing. Do your research, do your due diligence, as we call it over and over, and then act on what you have learned. To me, it's not that simple. I am not a person who is driven by fear. I don't sit around and worry about things. I analyze things and look for a way out. Yeah. So I guess I'm good in a crisis because I just don't get fearful. I try to get smart. I try to get knowledgeable. I try to learn as much as I can, get out ahead of it. I understand that for every time somebody loses money, somebody's making money.
Yes.
And that may sound crass. I don't mean it that way. I have a huge heart for people. I love to help people. So I don't mean that from a taking advantage standpoint. But at the end of the day, if somebody on the stock market sees their stocks plummeting to a really low price and they panic and sell, you understand somebody on the other side saw that as an opportunity and bought that stock.
Right.
There was a winner and there was a loser in that scenario. And it's the same with real estate. It's the same with notes. It's the same with businesses, right? The person that panics and does the wrong thing at the wrong time is going to probably mark a loss for themselves. And the person that took that so-called problem off their hands is probably going to make a gain down the road off of that. That's just human nature, and it's how it works. So don't be the fearful person. The fearful person is the lamb to slaughter. They're the ones that are going to mark the losses.
Yeah, I can't really quote word for word what Warren Buffett said, but I think he's the one that said, when there's blood on the streets, that's when
I'll quote that for you.
Okay.
He said, when others get greedy, I get scared. And when others get scared, I get really greedy.
There you go. See, so
and honestly, I had to use that quote with my wife over and over and over through 2008 to 2012, because she's just like, honey, why are we the only ones buying right now? What do you think you know that nobody else knows? Because everybody else is selling and running, and you're out here just buying everything you can. Yeah. Look, going against and being a nonconformist is difficult. It is challenging mentally. I'm not saying it isn't.
Yeah. All right. Can you wrap this up for me?
Yes, sir.
Know how they're going to get a hold of you, and then let's do this.
Tom at ILS.CASH if you want to shoot me an email. And if you've got money to invest, get it invested. John is a great option. I'm a great option. There are others out there. Do your due diligence, of course. Don't take anybody's word for it. Do your due diligence. But now's the time to shine. Now's the time to make wealth.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate you. You're awesome. And this is recorded, by the way. So thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Take care.